What is up, everybody? Today we are going to be counting down the top 10 Leonardo DiCaprio performances. This is just my opinion, but I'd like to hear yours in the comments below. So without further ado, let's go. All right, coming in at number 10, we have Frank Abagnale from Catch Me If You Can. Now, what makes this role so cool is that although he's Frank Abagnale the whole time, he's playing a bunch of different little characters. This guy's a master impersonator, and you see him, imitating and becoming a doctor, becoming a lawyer, becoming a teacher. And it's really cool just to see kind of the versatility that DiCaprio has in playing all these different types of roles while still maintaining the same character in Frank Abagnale. It's a really cool movie. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Number 9, we have his portrayal of Dom Cobb in Inception. As you guys know, Inception is one of my favorite movies of all time. Inception, it's a really interesting movie, and DiCaprio does a good job of kind of portraying his character as this kind of thief that also kind of understands the world that he works in the field he's in. I think where he highlights his acting the best in this film is kind of the flashbacks and remembering his wife. There's a lot of emotional scenes and a lot of tension within those. And he just does a really good job of kind of almost showing a timid expression of what his task is to do because of the experience that he and his wife had previously. It's a really cool movie. And just so you guys know, just because one of my favorite movies of all time is lower on this list, this is just off of performances, not favorite movie, so it might be a little different than my top 10 favorite movies of all time, but this is just based solely off of my favorite performances from him. All right, coming in at number 8, we have Arnie Grape from What's Eating Gilbert Grape. This is real young DiCaprio work. This movie, he plays Arnie, who's a special needs kid. He does a really good job of kind of selling the performance. I actually read that he spent like a month with just a bunch of kids with special needs, and he was able to kind of pick up on their tendencies and their idiosyncrasies and all of that stuff, their mannerisms. It shows in this movie because he does a really, really good job. It's a really cool movie. Him and Johnny Depp, they have great chemistry in it. And DiCaprio, really just everything from his hand placement to like his mouth and everything, it just looks very authentic. And if you didn't know who DiCaprio was, you might think that he actually does have a disability. He does a really good job in this movie, and you should check it out. All right, coming in at number 7, we have Shutter Island. DiCaprio plays Detective Teddy Daniels. This is a really cool movie about these guys that kind of go to this island, and they try to find this missing person. DiCaprio is playing Teddy Daniels, who's one of the detectives. And, he does a really good job of kind of trying to solve the case, but also having this image of who this one guy, Andrew Latis, is. So it's kind of a competition between getting the job done and finding out who this Andrew Latis is. There are a lot of scenes with a lot of tension and a lot of scurrying and stuff like that. And DiCaprio does a great job of showing both sides of that emotion, being really serious and then being kind of thrown for a loop and unsure. It's a really, really good movie. Great plot twist at the end. His acting towards the end starts to become really transformative once he kind of finds out the truth. So if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but you should check out Shutter Island. All right, number 6, we have Django Unchained. This is definitely a different role for DiCaprio because normally he's kind of playing these real cool, clean, sophisticated characters, but in here he's playing a villain named Calvin Candy. It's a really cool movie. He plays an evil slave owner, and he does a great job in it, especially for this being the first kind of bad guy role he's played. There's that iconic scene where he slaps his hand on the table and he cuts it and he wipes it on Broomhilda's face. That actually wasn't supposed to happen. He actually cut his hand on a glass and started bleeding, and he had to get a bunch of stitches, but because his acting's so good, he just continued acting. Really cool movie, really encapsulates who Calvin Candy is supposed to be. And of course, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, so there's a little bias there, but I mean, DiCaprio kills it. All right, number 5, we have The Departed. DiCaprio's playing Billy Costigan here, an ex-cop who's gonna end up being kind of the mole in this mob. He does a really good job. There's a lot of kind of intense fighting scenes. There's a lot of anger in this, and DiCaprio just does a great job of showing that. This role, it was kind of different because he was kind of known for being kind of the good-looking, handsome, pretty boy, and then he does something like this and just kind of flips the switch. Billy Costigan, like I said, an ex-cop. This guy kind of has some background. He's seen some stuff, and his interactions with Jack Nicholson's character, they're really intense. DiCaprio, when he shows that his character is getting hurt, you start to feel for him because it looks like, man, this guy is really going through it. Because the expressions on his face really kind of show pain. DiCaprio kills it in this one. It's an iconic Martin Scorsese movie. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. I think it's on Netflix. Number 4, we got Revolutionary Road, where DiCaprio plays Frank Wheeler. Now this might be surprising for some of you guys to see this on the list, but I really like this movie, and the acting is a lot more subtle in this movie. I mean, obviously it has its moments of intensity, but just the little things as an actor kind of mean everything, and he does just a real good job of just being Frank Wheeler. Of course, you have the scenes where him and his wife are kind of arguing, they're going at it, things get emotional, and I think those are moments where DiCaprio is at his peak. But this movie all around, just, great acting, showing a loss of control, showing kind of that internal fight to keep control. It's a really cool movie, set in an older time, and I think you guys would like it, so check it out. Number 3, we got The Aviator with Howard Hughes. This movie is really good, and I think DiCaprio should have won Oscar for it, because I believe he did get a nomination. Kind of to keep the accent he kept through the whole movie alone, that's difficult. But also, I heard that this was the first time he had real formal training for a specific role, which is crazy because this movie came out in 2004, and he had been acting for a long time. So for this to be the first one, it's pretty remarkable. But he kills it. You kind of see Hughes breaking down and starting to kind of lose his mind. And in watching that movie, DiCaprio does a great job of portraying exactly that. He shows a guy losing his mind, kind of becoming over obsessive, still kind of holding on to that accent, which doesn't fail, which is really cool. But this movie, it kind of, as much as it's a drama, almost psychologically, it kind of messes with you because you see what this dude's going through, and it feels like DiCaprio was really going through it. It almost seems like he took a method approach to it, based on his performance, but it's really, really good. Very underrated movie. Like I said, I think he should have won the Oscar for it, but that's The Aviator. Number 2, we got The Titanic with DiCaprio playing the iconic Jack Dawson. This was the movie that kind of propelled his career. Really, really good movie. You kind of see this poor boy who ends up kind of falling in love for this rich girl and their relationship. Again, this is a movie I might be a little biased on because I like it so much, but I think DiCaprio kills it. I think he plays Jack Dawson to a T, even though there's not a lot of scenes to kind of exemplify your acting. It's just a very fun movie, and you can tell he was having fun. You can kind of read the expressions on his eyes when he sees Rose. And I think he just does a fantastic job. I don't think anybody else could have played this role quite as good as him. That's why it's number 2. Now, before we go on, there are a few honorable mentions. One of these might actually really surprise you, but I just don't have it on the list, and I'll explain why. First one, The Great Gatsby. I saw this in school for the first time, thought it was really cool. DiCaprio plays a really good kind of rich, prideful, arrogant kind of guy. And the second one's going to be The Revenant. Now, I know he won the Oscar for this, his first one. And don't get me wrong, I think he did a great job. But this movie, it's just not up there. There's not as much dialogue. I think he does kill it. Of course, I love everything DiCaprio's in, but the lack of dialogue and kind of simply just the screaming and agony, although it's good, it just, I don't know, it's not one of my favorites. But remember, it's just my opinion. Coming in at number 1, we have The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. Kind of like I said with Gatsby, he does such a good job of just playing kind of a cool, rich, arrogant son of a gun, And watching this movie, as iconic as DiCaprio is, I don't really think I'm watching DiCaprio. I feel like I'm watching Jordan Belfort. I feel like I'm watching the Wolf. He just does such a good job, just his subtle little smirks and eyebrow raises and everything. he was meant for this role. He was meant for this role, and he delivered. Again, I think he should have won Oscar for this one. Just every little thing about it just feels very Jordan Belfort, very Playboy, very Bachelor-esque. And kind of like I said, he was meant for this role. He played it really well. Everything from the, you know, the serious scenes to the scene where he's on drugs and he's just trying to get home, super hilarious. But I mean, even he kills it there, even though it's comedic, he looks legit, and he does a great job. So every aspect of this movie to a T for DiCaprio. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment your favorite DiCaprio movies, why you agree, why you disagree. Follow my Instagram and my TikTok. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.